You're watching SKST Radio.
Well, hello and welcome to SKST Radio. You're tuned in to Cocktails and Conversation with Cammie Grayson and friends. I'm Cammie Grayson, and we have a friend over here. This is Destiny. And then over there we have who?
Rome Foster.
Rome is here in the house. All right. And then we have a special guest,
Shundra Chamberliss.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Shundra, what brought you here today?
Well, I am here to talk about an organization that I am U.S. director of. My organization is called Hope for Women in Crisis. And what it is an organization where we support and provide services for pregnant teenage girls who have been desolate and pretty much abandoned from their families due to the situations such as rape, incest, and some things like that.
Oh, wow. So let me ask you this. How did you get started in this business?
Well, I am actually a missionary. So back in 2016, I went on my first missionary's trip to Uganda with a friend from church. And we connected with this organization on Facebook. And we stepped out of the house and I was introduced to the founder. And at that time, they had 12 pregnant girls there. And throughout the years, we just stayed in contact. During the pandemic, however, she reached out to me. It was just out of the blue, and she informed me that they were on their last meal. Because during the pandemic, when the country shuts down in Africa, there is no movement. So there is no stores, there's no way to get food, there's no way to get any kind of resources. And so they were pretty much at a point where they didn't know what they were going to do or how they was going to survive past that day. And so after hearing her plea for help, I immediately jumped in and started pushing and reaching out to people, my resources, and began to help her. And it just all of a sudden just became this big organization that I didn't even know I had a heart for. It just kind of landed in my life.
Okay. Well, so we found out about you through Foster. Foster, how did you find out about her?
Well, Shundra and I, we worked together, and man, she was preparing for her trip to Uganda, and she was telling me a little bit about what her organization represented and some of the sacrifices that she was making to actually make sure that these women could eat and had somewhere to live. And my heart just went out. I had to get involved some type of way. She doesn't even ask for very much. This woman, if I could just tell some of your story, you literally, if I could say you Uber and Lyft to get some of the money together just to send these women whatever extra she can actually do. It's just so heart-wrenching for me to know her sacrifice and to see some of the images of the girls and the women that she's helping and the family and just the backstories. It was just a lot for me. I had to help some type of way.
Well, so, actually, I saw her website and I saw some of the pictures that you're discussing, and it's very heartwarming to see. I think we saw the video of them dancing or singing a song or something like that. That was so cool. So I can imagine how beautiful it is there and how sad it is to see that they are actually suffering in a certain type of way. So I guess that's one of the things that captured your heart and made you decide that this is what you really wanted to do. So what are the goals right now? What are you needing? What are you seeking?
I'm sorry, my microphone. Yes, the microphone was activated. Sorry. Well, right now, a lot has happened. As you know, when the pandemic happened, it hit everybody all over the world. And a lot of our loved ones are sick and everything. Some even lost a lot of life. In a third world country, it is like 3 times harder and 3 times worse than what was actually happening over here. So over there, everybody's fitting for their own self. So what happened was she ended up we had a business. She had a business that was supporting the girls. She ended up losing the business because she had to use all of the resources inside of the business to feed the 10, 12 girls that we had at the time. And they were all pregnant at the time. So one by one, they were having their babies during the pandemic. So
are y'all there?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Our computer's bugging. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Yeah, so during the pandemic, that's when everything just went crazy for them. After a while, several months, within 6 months, it was they already depleted all their resources, and there was nothing to retrieve it from. Because it was at that stage that if you didn't plant your own food, you couldn't eat. Kind of situation. Yeah, so when you have a house full of girls, and the time that she called me, it was 12 girls who were pregnant, and there's no food. That's a very, very bad place to be in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could you tell us some of the stories of the teenagers you're working with?
Yes, absolutely. My youngest girl I have is 12. She's 13 now. But the time that we brought her in, she was 12 years old. She was raped by her brother who was 15. Just to give you a little background story, the culture is different because in our minds as Americans, we know it's wrong to sleep with our siblings. Sex is not something that people talk about a lot in families, especially in Africa. There's not something you talk about. You actually don't talk about sex until the day of your marriage in most cultures in Africa. So you don't even know what's happening. Because of the pandemic, the schools were shut down. Everybody's in the house, and I don't know if you got a chance to see it in the pictures of the houses that they are living in. It's not somewhere that you can really stay in the house all day in because you're extremely hot and it's really small. It's nothing in there but probably a mattress on the floor and cooking supplies. So not making any excuse to the behavior, but the ignorance of what sex is, that's what happened and how this incident happened. Him and her, they witnessed someone having sex and they wanted to experiment, and that's what they did. Not knowing the repercussions, not knowing the consequence of having sex equates to having a baby, or even knowing that it was wrong to have sex in the first place.
Right. But they're teenagers, so.
Right, and she was 12. And so when they found out that she was pregnant, it was her mind is still a 12-year mind. She didn't understand what that means. But her brother, he literally tried to commit suicide. It literally tore the family apart. So by the time we got her, she was in such a state of depression and suicidal. And the family just could not keep her. They did not want to see her. They didn't want nothing to do with her because she was carrying his child. Right. And so we brought her in. We because when we get the children, when we get the teenage mothers, we bring them in. They all come in very bad. They're in a bad state. Some of them are beaten very badly because the family abuses them. Because even though they were raped, they still are. It's like it's their fault. So they are being treated as if it's their fault because now you bring shame on the family, and we don't want nothing to do with you. You're cut off, and that's why a lot of the girls they're kicked to the street. So this particular young lady, her name is Joan. She's 12. We brought her in. She was very immature. She's a regular 12-year-old running around with a big belly. She didn't know. And when it was time for her to have the baby, we were very afraid because we had another young lady who was 13, and we had to tie her down to have her baby because she couldn't handle the delivery. So we had to pin her down to get her to deliver the baby. This is some of the things that happens when the baby is too big and the mother is too small, and they don't have resources in the clinics and the hospitals like we do. There is no medicine or anesthesia or anything like that. And matter of fact, we have to use maternity kits because if you don't have a maternity kit, which includes like a tourniquet, scissors, and certain things to deliver the baby, if you don't have that when you show up at the hospital, the doctor will not see you. And so that's what happens to a lot of the young, even the regular mothers that wasn't young. If they show up at the hospital, they literally die in front of the hospital without being seen.
Just because they don't have the proper supplies? Wow.
Yeah, just because they don't have proper supplies. Like here in America, we have health insurance and we don't have to worry about such things. But to them, there is no health insurance. You got to pay up front and you got to pay cash, all of the money up front, and you have to have that kit, the maternity kit, before the doctors even touch you.
Wow.
And it's only $8 US dollars.
Wow. Sound like something like that would be great to do, like when we do our drives and stuff. You know, when we do something like that, maybe that can be one of the things that the radio station would do a drive for.
Most definitely.
Yes.
And that sounds really, really, you know, it's not that much. And do you think maybe we can get a packet or something together? That way we can start sort of advertising that.
Yes, definitely.
Trying to get those donations in to help you.
Yes,
what other do you need that people can help that's not actual money per se?
Yes. Well, as you know, when you have a new person moving your house, you see they have no problem with sleeping together. You know, sometimes you have two people sleeping in one mattress and their beds are not set up like ours. Like we were fortunate to get bunk beds and be able to stack it up. But now, because it's so many of the girls that's coming in, we're running out of space. So we need stuff like mattresses, which is as cheap as $20 for a mattress over there. For each person,
is $20 there.
Yes, it's about $20 for a mattress. Everything is like way dirt cheap compared to our things. It's better to buy the stuff in the land than to buy it from here and try to ship it. It's more expensive to ship.
Okay.
So it's better to buy the stuff there, the resources there. Even the kits, the maternity kits, because the travel and the packing and getting through customs, because I just got back because I was gone for a month on a mission trip over there. And we was trying to bring everything. It was like $250 a bag, and we brought about 17 bags. So you can imagine the cost of all of that. So it's easier and more productive if we buy the things in the land versus buying it here in the United States and try to ship it. It would be more resilient. Yeah.
Definitely. Wow.
Yes. But as you know, when somebody moves into the house, there's a lot of things you need, especially if you come in with nothing but what's on the clothes on your back. You're talking about a pregnant teenager who doesn't even wear underwear, who doesn't have bra, who has only one dress, who probably never, haven't bathed in like months. And most of them that come, they don't have shoes. So their feet, I had experienced a young lady whose feet was actually made like a shoe because she'd been working barefooted for so long. Her foot became a shoe. Like her toes were like close together and her foot looked like a shoe because that's how long she's been barefooted.
Wow, it's so much that's needed over there.
Yes, so much, and we can't save everybody and we can't help everybody, and there's always going to be a need when it comes to poverty. But the change that we want to make, especially in that country, right now, I'm working with. I have a few friends over there who are graduates. They're lawyers now. We'll be working on trying to get some laws in place to protect the girls because right now there is no laws to protect the girls. Like we could arrest the guy, but then he get arrested and he's out in a couple of days. It doesn't stick. And the only laws that they really have to protect the girls is like for streetwalkers, because they have a lot of prostitution going on there. Because a lot of the street girls who are teenagers, they live on the street, they prostitute. And if they get arrested, the police, all they do is either take the money that you work that day or you perform a sexual favors and you're released. There is no protection for anyone who has been raped or violated. And so and it also
at that age.
Yeah. And then in the culture it's like your family don't want nothing to do with you. Like I have at least 5 of them that could never go back home. Wow. And my 12-year-old is one of them because they will not accept the baby. They don't want nothing to do with the baby. So she can't never go back home. So she had to choose. She chose to be with her baby. So she will be with us forever. We have a few like that will be with us forever. So what we're doing is we're setting up trainings and different things to teach them how to sustain their life so they can live on their own. Teach them how to do things to make money, how to start businesses, because that's what you do. You got to start businesses so you can provide for your family. So that's a lot of things we do as far as workshops, because we help them not only physically, spiritually, and mentally. We do counseling also. We send in a caseworker who sit down and do counseling, and that's what we're trying to set up right now because they're really messed up. They're really messed up. So I have a few more stories. I have one story. One young lady, she was 14, and most of the children there, they start working really early. They work as early as 4 years old. The 4-year-olds, they go into peanut fields, and that's how they work and bring money home to their families. Those are usually the families that can't afford to send their children to school because they have to pay school fees. They don't have public schools like we do where we can go to school for free. They have to pay to go to school. So a lot of the education is a big factor. Not being able to get the free education like we have. And when I was a 14-year-old girl, she was working in a house because a lot of them do like housework, and she got pregnant by her boyfriend, who promised to pay for her school fees. You know, it's so common that the men will promise these things, and the girls are so desperate to go to school because they understand that this is like a big deal to go to school. They want to go to school. They're hungry for education, so they do just about anything. And this young lady, her boyfriend promised to give it to her, and she had sex with him in exchange. She got pregnant. He left, and so she hid her pregnancy doing work. And when she delivered her baby at work, she threw her baby down in the latrine. And the latrine is, I'm country, so I know what an outhouse is. I don't know what you know what an outhouse is. But, it's like a big pit in the ground where you used to go outside and use the bathroom back in the day before we had bathrooms in the house. But they still live like that. So they have a latrine in the house, and she threw the baby down. Somebody heard the baby crying. Maybe a couple of days later, they had to retrieve the baby out, but the baby had eating so much feces and was filled with maggots. So they had to bring what's the word? They had to bring him back to life pretty much. He wasn't dead, but he was, you can imagine the maggots and stuff was eating him up. So they had to bring him back. And then so they found out, the community is a really big deal. They really have a lot of power in Africa. It's really true about a village family because they will jump on you. And so they kicked her out of the community, and we brought her in. She was on the street. We brought her in, and she was so angry because she was angry at not really at the baby, but because of what she'd done. So she didn't want to hold the baby. She didn't want to touch the baby. So we have those cases too where they reject the child. And we got to try to get them to, we had to love on them so much to get them to love the baby. It's a lot of hard therapy that you have to do with them.
Right. So let me ask you this.
I'm sorry, Tammy, the baby now. I remember this story. How are the two doing now?
They're doing good. I mean, if you can see
the baby survived.
Yes.
Awesome.
If you can see the before and after pictures of these girls, and this is probably why I get so excited, because even though I see them looking so badly in the beginning, I know what they're gonna look like later. Because the before and after pictures are so amazing, you would not believe it. I don't. If you even go on a Facebook page and see the picture of all the girls, and I'm holding the baby. I'm actually holding the baby. They named it after me, so we got a little Shundra over there. So if you see that, so if you see all of them surrounding me and their smiling faces,
I've seen that picture.
If you really see what they look like before, if you go down the page and see all of the stories months and months before, you will be just so amazed, and you will know how well this organization is doing with these girls, how great this platform is for them. The resources they're receiving is giving them hope, and this is what we do. We give them hope for these women, because they're no longer children anymore. They are women, women by force, but they women still. And so they even have that youth. Like we play like children, and then we learn how to be mothers, And I'm a mother of a 16-year-old pregnant daughter. So she's not 16 anymore. My daughter is 19 in college, going to be a doctor. So I have firsthand on what it's like to be a mother who has a teenage pregnant child, and I know God has prepared me for this because it's just a divine encounter. The fact that this kind of fell in my life and I was experiencing it on my own, so I was able to be relatable to the mothers, and this is like really a heart thing for me. This is something that's personal for me. It's not just an organization. This is like my lifestyle, and I'm even considering moving over there, and I'm preparing to move over there eventually. I have a 5-year plan, but that's another story.
Well, so I was going to ask the question. Okay, so you mentioned if the mother does not want the child, is that common? And if that's the case, what happens to the baby if you can't
It is,
bond
yeah,
with the baby?
it is common, but fortunately, we have not run into a case where we were not able to turn that around. We have been really blessed with the people like Lizette. Lizette Nagalu she's the founder. And I really need to tell you about her story for you to know that because she experienced it herself, she knew exactly how to minister to these girls. She knew what to say to them. She knew how much love they needed. She knew what resources they needed. And what happened to her was she was married and she was pregnant with her third child. She went to the hospital to deliver, but because she didn't have the funds for that maternity kit, they would not give her the C-section that she needed. And she waited until the baby died on the inside of her.
Oh, wow.
So when she laid on that surgery table and waited, she looked around and she saw all these young girls who were pregnant, and they also were in the same situation as her, where they couldn't afford the maternity kits, and they all had to wait for their babies to die or either deliver naturally. But in her case, the baby died on the inside of her. And when she walked out of that hospital grieving and mourning, she went back to the hospital and started taking children home one by one.
Wow.
And she was able to build a house with as less than $30. She says, she said it took $30 for her to start, $30 American money for her to start, and she started frequently going to the hospital looking for teenage girls because all of the teenage girls are abandoned. None of the families will keep a pregnant teenage girl. For one, it's too much to feed another person, and that's how they see it. They look at it as a shame to the family and a disgrace. I have one young lady. Well, she's not with us anymore, but I had one young lady. Her family kicked her out, and she went to her sister's house. Her sister took her to the witch doctor. The witch doctor gave her a concoction, which she had to insert it inside of her, and she had to take it orally. What happened later? The purpose was for her to abort the baby, but the baby would not die. So instead, she got all these infections. There is so crazy. It's in your face, and it's no joke. A lot of people depend on these witch doctors. It is God to them. So when the witch doctors get a hold of these girls, it's a sacrifice for them. And matter of fact, that is why you see so many people starting orphanages and organizations in Africa. It's because they know what will happen if nobody would take them in. The witch doctors have done, like, they do human sacrifices. So anything can happen to them. And there is no laws and anything that would protect them because it's a native thing. So nobody touches that. Right. So everybody turn their blind eye, like you're used to it, so you don't say anything about it. But you know what will happen to them if you don't take the house.
It sounds like to me that you probably need a lot of manpower opposed to just different people, different organizations to help. Because this is huge. This is not just a little someone thing.
She's been doing this on her own. Yeah.
Yes.
How do you find yourself to even get there, Shundra? That's one thing that I know about. You pay for these trips yourself.
Yes. When I first heard about doing the pandemic, that they was on their last meal, the first thing I did was jump in my car and do Uber Eats. So I basically been supporting them by Uber Eats because my salary is only enough to pay for my house and my family. So I have to do Uber Eats when I get that call, and it was like back to back because the girls start having their babies. It's $160 per baby.
Yeah.
So they don't have the money up front. There are so many things that can go wrong, and I'm not willing to risk that. So I will work all through the night just to,
I know.
It's
I know.
okay.
You are such a blessing. Oh my goodness. You got this.
Yeah,
You are,
you got
yes,
it.
yes,
sorry.
You
yes.
good. You good.
So all right. Sorry, y'all.
You good. You good.
I'm in a place right now. I'm in a place right now where I budget so well, and I'm teaching myself how to fundraise because that's not my strength.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm learning things because of my mission leader, because I'm also a missionary through a organization called Gateway to Missions. They are so awesome. They've been on the ground all through the pandemic. They have fed over 10,000 families in Uganda. They went from village to village to village in the middle of a pandemic where the government would not give them food. We found people starving. We found people just like they were just disappearing. They were so small. But this organization, Gateway to Missions, has was a great impact on me. And because of the missions leader, she has been teaching me and guiding me and giving me advice about every step of the way. And because of that, I'm now in a place where I'm in a good budget state, where I'm able to see exactly how much it takes to feed each one of them every day, how much it takes to get the resources they need. I can tell you by the number, by the ounce of rice. I can tell you that they take about 3 cups of rice a day to feed all 10 of them. So it's like I'm learning so much because I really don't know a lot about what I'm doing. I just did it because of the kindness of my heart and because I just couldn't turn my eye and know this is going on and not do anything about it. And now it has become a passion of mine. So I don't get a lot of support, but I do get enough where I can sustain until I can learn more about how to get support. So that's one of the reasons why I was reaching out here because the CPOs have a heart for teenagers and just pregnant girls. Because a lot of people don't want to help Africa. There's a lot of misleading sayings. A lot of people don't think that
Like it's a fraud.
trust. It's a lot of
Well,
fraud.
and exactly, and that's why I was asking at the beginning of the show, what can people do besides give money? Because a lot of times they feel that that's the case. So what
Right.
else can they do other than monetary gifts? And I know that's the big thing that's needed. However, again, you have people that have that doubtfulness in their mind, and you can't
Right.
blame because there is a lot of scam going on. You
It
can't
is.
blame. And so, what can they do that they don't have to, that they can feel safe and secure that this is really what's going on? I mean, I know, like I saw the website. I mean, I'm all aboard. Uh,
Yes,
and
it's kind of hard to say because there is a distrust, and
mhm,
you should be distrust because I have experienced a lot of it. I had to go through a lot of people that I thought was being genuine and honest, and they lied right in my face, and it was very hurtful. But I got up and I learned how to do this by myself. I had to learn to trust myself, but then you still need partners. You still need other people. So what we do is when we see that happening, we set up situations where you don't have to worry about them touching the money. If you have a person who's dishonest and integrity is an issue, we set up the situation where they would never touch the money ever again. So
yeah,
I have people, we have organization on the ground. I have pastors and people that I have ministered with. I just went a month mission trip there, and it was so awesome. We just swept through the villages from village to village, and it was such an amazing time, and so many people we reached. And they live in Africa, but they live in Ghana or Kenya. So when we have a need, we fly them out to the land and we pass them the money. And they go out and do those things. So that we do have a safe place, people that we do trust. but I do understand that monetary issue. That's always going to be there, I believe. And that's why I personally think that's why I feel like I have to be there. So I go there and I make sure it gets done. I'm getting ready to leave again in September because during the pandemic, because the business was shut down, it was no way to make money. The landlord threatened to evict them. So I kept trying to catch everything up, and I'm finally caught up. And now he tells us he wants to sell the house. So from today until who knows when, they could be on the street because they don't have like rules, like we have here. If somebody comes and buy the house, they on the street. So I'm fundraising right now to get that. We found a house, and I have to get all of the funding for that, and I will be there in September to make sure the transition happens. Help them move and all of those things. And at the same time, we draw up paperwork, so we're going to get our license back because during the pandemic, we lost the organization license because she couldn't afford keep it up. So we're always there. And that's one of the reasons why we don't have a website yet, but we have it coming. Right now, all we have is the Facebook page. We update it as much as we can. But we are starting to get our license and everything in order. I have to hire security at the house to protect the girls because right now they're on a lockdown. They're on a 42-day lockdown. It's not going to be lifted to the end of this month. And we already had people try to jump the fence to get in the house. And I have to be able to protect these girls. So there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot I have to do.
Okay, so what SKST can do a donation of actually building your website. We'll do your basic website. We'll give you 5 pages. And so it'll be, I don't know how to transfer it to Ghana, but we don't have an American website that you can have.
That's a start.
Oh, thank you. That is a start. I appreciate it.
We'll design it and just send us pictures and the stories. And so you'll work with Destiny. You'll work with Destiny, and she'll get the information, and I'll actually build the website from scratch myself. And so
she's very good at that. She knows what she's doing. Yes.
And so that'll be our gift to you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Between the 3 of us, we might come up with $100 a piece.
Oh,
I believe so.
To the table. So we'll try to do that as well. We'll get the rest of the team on board and see if they can donate, and we can all pitch in to get you the $300 plus the website. That's a total of almost $800 that we're giving.
Yes, thank you so much. God bless your giving. May He return it double. Thank you.
And so, thank you for being on the show. Destiny, have a question for her.
So, for those that do want to help you out, how can those people contact you?
Well, my main contact right now is through Facebook. And I've been putting I try to do the fundraisers often, and people wants to see the donate button. So it makes you, it's legit and it's coming through some kind of bank account and stuff like that. So I have it set up where it's connected to my bank account that goes straight to the ministry. So if you see
Shundra Chamberliss, right?
Say it again.
Shundra Chamberliss, right?
Say it again.
Shundra Chamberliss, Facebook.
No, well, you could go on my page too, Shundra Chamberliss, yes. But I believe I share it on both. So it's on mine and it's on Hope for Women in Crisis. If you go to Facebook and type in Hope for Women in Crisis, you will see the organization and you'll see everything that we're doing.
Okay.
Yes. So both of those pages you should be able to donate somehow. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So is there anything that you want to say as a final remark to the audience? Your plea?
Well, I'm just happy to be on here. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to share because a lot of people don't really know what's going on over there. There's a lot of cultural differences that we're not aware of. And I'm very grateful because I've learned to be very grateful, period, because I used to complain about the simplest things, and then I go and I see what's going on with them, and they so happy, even though they don't have much. So I just encourage everyone to take a trip, get outside of the United States, and go somewhere to a third world country. It would change your life forever.
Wow.
Definitely.
Now, how much is an average trip? I'm gonna let you go, but how much is an average trip there?
My flight is about between $900 and $1,000.
A flight.
Yeah, so I
And
have
that's
less
round
than
trip?
6 weeks to get $900. Huh?
Is that round trip?
That's round trip.
Okay. And then lodging?
It depends on how long to stay. The hotels and stuff is really cheap. They have variety, so I personally don't have no problem with staying in the bush. When I go among the people in the village, and it's about $40 a night. You can stay in a nicer hotel about maybe $50, $60 a night. But if you stay in the bush, it's gonna be between $35 and $40.
So it's
And so what's
affordable.
the average stay?
Yes. It's
So
about
what's the average stay? How long do people normally stay there when they visit?
when I stay, I try to stay at least 3 weeks. Only because you spend so much on the air flight, you don't want to spend $1,000 and only stay for 1 week. But that's going to be my case in September. I only can stay for 1 week. Yeah.
And how's the food there?
I love African food. So, in Uganda, specifically Uganda, because every part of Africa has their own special cuisine. So in Uganda, they have matoki, which is like a banana. It's a type of banana, but it tastes like mashed potatoes. So they mash it, and then they use groundnut sauce to put on top of it. My mouth just got really full just thinking about it.
So look, when she actually got back, she was actually saying that it was like a culture shock for her taste buds. Just the food here just tastes so different after visiting.
I couldn't eat anything for a long time. I just now starting to be able to eat the meat here. Everything tastes too salty, too sweet, or really medicine-y. So the food over there is very fresh. You'll see a chicken that morning, that chicken is dinner on your plate that same day. I'm serious. Oh my God. And the fruit is like you can have a meal with the fruit. The fruit is so big. The best thing I ever had was a mango. Oh my God. So good. You can just eat a mango and that's it. Like it's a whole meal. It's that big.
Tammy, we gotta go.
Yes.
We have to go there.
What? You see why I'm asking,
we have
right?
to make a trip. Yes, we gotta do this.
The food. And they don't have a lot of different varieties like we do. We got all kinds of cultures here. When you go there, it's kind of like they eat the same thing all the time, you know? But in Ghana, I heard it's different. They got more variety. Nigeria got more variety. But in the poorer countries like Uganda, they don't have a lot of variety, and they don't use a lot of seasonings and stuff like that. I think they use salt and pepper. That's it. But it's good.
Yeah. And then their submission too. So yeah, it's really cool. Well, again, Shundra, thank you for being on the show. We appreciate all that you're doing for those young ladies and those families. You know, that's your blessing, that's your calling. We're receiving you well. Hopefully, you know, from this broadcast, you know, people can get some help to visit your site, give donations, feel comfortable about giving the donations. And like I said, I think eventually we're going to let Foster head this up. We're going to let Foster be the advocate for our station to your program. So he'll be since he brought you to the table. And so we'll have him responsible for the drives, making things happen, the donations, you know, we'll filter all that through him. And and just kind of make it happen for you.
And just one more thing. I mean, I want to connect because I am learning as I go. I want to connect with people in the United States who deal with rape and incest. So if there's any organizations like that, I need to learn more about it. So because I need to be able to take it back home to them. Okay. So I would love to connect with any business or organization that supports women like that, pregnancy and rape and molestation and stuff like that. So
Can you put together a list for us, a want, a need,
Okay.
list, and then way we can post it on our website because we're actually updating our website as well. So we can post that along with your logo and some of the pictures on our website too. And then that way we have that list together, then people can connect and get with you. I'm a part of a couple of organizations that we probably can introduce you to. And
That'd be great.
sometimes it's not who you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And
Right.
so, we might not have the answer, but maybe another one of our team members might have the answer, or somebody that we network with might have the answer. So, well, I'm proud of you.
Don't you have a Cash App also?
Thank you. Huh?
Definitely. Don't you have a Cash App also? What is your Cash App?
It's $ Shundra SHUNDRACH.
Great. That is very important to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm thinking we're gonna probably see if we can get you on our hero
most definitely
donations. And so we'll look into it, and we'll talk with the owner of the organization and see if he can figure out how we can put you on that list for donations.
Thank you. I really appreciate the help. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, again, thank you for being on the show. Guys, please connect with this woman. Until next week, same time, you're tuned in to SKST Radio, Cocktails and Conversation. And we're so happy to see Mr. Foster on the show. And we welcome Miss Destiny to the company. And Shundra, thank you again for being a part of the day. Y'all have a good one. Talk to everybody next week.
All right.
Yeah.